Yo, what is good, my anime faithful? What is good, yo? Guys, I am happy that Monday is getting some anime because I have been missing out on watching animes on Mondays, including ones that are uh get your brain thinking a little bit. I already got like a comedy show on Monday now to fill in the last comedy show that I was watching before. That did turn into being a little bit more serious than I expected. But now that we have a comedy show and then this show, Pet, I don't know what the heck this show is, man. I really hope to find out through a couple more watches. But as of right now, this show is really heavily dealing with people's like psyches and dealing with the mind and how much different stuff is kind of popping off in the grand scheme of um, what we've seen so far has taken place. Like some of the most craziest things have taken place in breaking and shifting the reality that you see or that you are a part of necessarily. So um, what we first see is a woman who is very, very down and hurt simply because her son kind of just doesn't seem to show any signs of changing his ways in the case of always watching the same show and just being like completely mesmerized in the show and not really doing anything but watching it. And come to find out, this is something that is not good for the mom in the case of she doesn't even understand what's really going on in that kid's psyche. So when we actually see what the heck's going on, which they do show a little glimpse of it with the mom like thinking about taking her own life just because of the father was blaming all of this on her, like it's her fault, stuff like that. And then because of this, it turned into this weird notion that the kid kind of understood that psyche. Like he could understand her mindset and her just thinking that. I don't think she was saying it out loud, I'm pretty sure. But the kid himself had those images of her wanting to do exactly what she was saying in her mind to do, even going as far as like, oh, and maybe it's not even just me, it's my son and this and that because of if I take myself out, he might be able to live a better life, or I just don't have to deal with it. So he then, in his mind, or some weird dimensional thing that's going on in this show, sees his mom with this. Oh no, Kuma. What sees his mom with the whole entire like knife that she's been like cleaning or something, and she just almost takes her life. So it's clear to be like, okay, so this is where this is kind of going as a whole. I am doing no damage to you, sir. What is this? So to see all of this kind of transpiring and knowing where it's going to go is one thing I want to know because he straight up sees his mom like taking her own life because of whatever's going on here. And come to find out it's a fake thing that's happened. But while that it did, turn out to be fake and it was in this kid's mind, he still has the image and all of her like body parts still severed in his mind because of his mental state or whatever the heck it is that's keeping him, so focused on just watching one thing, which we come to find out he's not really watching anything. He's kind of just stuck in that mental state where his mom took her life or whatever, and he's still there, but in the reality, he's outside, um, watching an anime supposedly, right? So that was the crazy part. Perfect, Akuma. Oh, sorry. But yeah, it's these types of things that have me very, very invested into the show, and I was just like, okay, what the heck's gonna pop up? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And we find out that, whenever this stuff is happening in his mind, it clearly could be terrifying, right? It could clearly be the most devastating stuff I have ever seen. And imagine other people not being able to understand it because you're the only one who kind of sees it. Unless he's never actually been snapped back into like the real world, which it would make sense by the way his eyes were looking. The only time he really knew that there was a guy there was when he actually entered the world with him. And then once he entered the world with him, he could see everything he was seeing. So, um, which I don't, we never got to see that guy anymore, right? Like the guy after he touched the kid's hand and kind of brought him into a place where he can actually believe and think of like much nicer, beautiful things. We never see this guy again, but we do see the guy who had nothing to do with it in the grand scheme of helping our boy out of that, dark place he was in. He didn't do anything of the sort, supposedly, but the person who came over and touched his hand and, jumped into that world with him to kind of see what the heck he's going through, that was the case of us learning what the heck truly could be popping off in this show. And then it just jumps into two kids who are working for somebody, and seemingly we don't even know why they're working for him and how they ended up there. But all we know is they kind of see him as almost a father figure, just by the way he kind of like was treating them. Oh, let's go. And because of that, you can tell that when all the things happen at the end of the day, it still kind of sat wrong with them. Almost like they didn't want to do what they were doing to him in general. But from what I could understand, that happens just to kind of speed this up a little bit. The guy with the dreads had a buddy that kind of dumped every single thing off on them in the case of like, hey, I'm gonna dip out, and once I'm gone, I'll be gone for a year or two, and I want you to take care of the bar and all this different stuff. And they're like, okay, we'll do that. And then he's like, I'm sorry, I gotta have you kids helping me, while I'm supposed to be trying to figure out how to take over. That did so much damage. I try to do my special. Um, I'm trying to take over, I'm taking over. You guys are here kind of just dealing with me, figuring out the ropes and dealing with not having any backup from my buddy, which then we come out to find the buddy is, a part of whatever this guy who smokes a cigarette has planned and why he's actually gone, right? Like we figure out the reason why he's gone is because the guy with the cigarette that is hiring the dreadlock guy to do whatever that he was doing before, which had to do with bodies and cement, and counterfeit money. So there's so much popping off in just this one episode. You're kind of like, holy crap, man, like what are you drawing me into here, anime? And that was my first instance of already like enjoying the crap out of this show, because they're putting me in a spot where everything these people are doing is bad. Like mostly, and almost everything they're doing is a bad thing. And then there's these two kids that are quote unquote called crushers. When our guy was like, okay, well, I'm going to do everything you asked me to do. I want my payment. I want everything to be good after I'm done. It comes to find out that he does what everything he needed to do, and once he was supposed to leave some keys, like some spare keys in the car, so it was easier to get the car up and running and do what they needed to do. He forgot that he didn't leave the spare keys, so that was the only reason why he ends up turning back, and the main reason why the whole episode just kind of ends with this eerie feeling of just these powerful people who can manipulate and change things to their overall image that they want for the people to see and for the people to live, almost like Men in Black hitting you with the flasher thing and then telling you what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And then you have no choice but to do it because you didn't even know it happened in the first place. That's the type of show we're dealing with, guys. I'm just telling you how I see it right now. And if that sounded confusing at all, then yeah, you definitely want to either maybe be watching this show twice, when one episode, or you just, kind of go around and see what other people picked up. And that's kind of what I used to do when I wasn't reviewing animes, is pick up what other people might have noticed, which I might do after my review's out and live, because I don't want to, I don't like having other people's thought process in my own. I like to be just honest with what I feel, and then if I do learn something, I'll tell you guys at, at towards the next video when I put it all the information together. Nope. My turn. Baby. But yeah, with all that being said, everybody, I hope you guys enjoy the Tekken. I will be getting so much better at this game that you can see hopefully a change to the gameplay in the back. Steve is my favorite character, but I'll probably have to pick up different ones, seeing how his buttons are kind of lackluster. Everything I do with him seems kind of lame, but I like the way he fights. I like the boxer mentality and stuff. So have an awesome one, everybody, and I will talk to you in the next one. So with that, peace. Double damage, baby. Let's see who gets it. Oh, you're done. Oh, I'm done. Oh, he's done. Oh, I'm done. Oh! Jesus. That was 3 hits. You see how many hits? I had to do like a full combo. He's like, oh, I'll hit you 3 times. Screw it. Block. Oh, let's get it. Later.